It was a cold December night, the kind where the air is so still and sharp it feels like it could shatter. I was driving my beat-up old sedan, heading toward a new job in a city I'd never been to. The promise of a fresh start was the only thing keeping me awake as the miles ticked by. Then my GPS, in its infinite wisdom, chimed in, roadwork ahead. It cheerfully announced a detour, rerouting me off the wide, well-lit highway and onto a narrow country road that plunged straight into a dense, dark forest. The towering trees on either side seemed to lean in, their branches like skeletal fingers clawing at the sky. My headlights cut a lonely path through the oppressive darkness. I hadn't seen another car for what felt like hours. The silence was thick, broken only by the hum of my engine and the crunch of gravel under my tires. A knot of unease began to twist in my stomach. This was the kind of road where stories begin, and they rarely have happy endings. Just as my fuel gauge dipped dangerously into the red, a faint flickering light appeared in the distance. It was a single, lonely beacon in the sea of black. As I got closer, I could make out the shape of a small, dilapidated gas station, the kind that looks like it was forgotten by time. The sign was rusted, its letters barely legible under a single buzzing bulb. Relief washed over me, a fragile wave against the rising tide of fear. I had no choice. I had to stop. I pulled in, the gravel popping under my tires. The place was even creepier up close. Paint was peeling off the walls, and the windows of the small convenience store were dark and grimy. There was only one other vehicle, their pristine white sedan parked near the entrance. It looked completely out of place in this decaying setting. Its windows were crystal clear, and as I glanced inside, I saw suitcases and travel bags neatly arranged on the back seat. It looked like a family car, packed and ready for a trip. But there was no one inside, not in the driver's seat, not in the passenger seat. The car was empty. The silence of the place was profound. It wasn't just quiet, it was a dead, heavy silence that pressed in on me, amplifying the sound of my own shallow breathing. I got out of my car, my footsteps echoing unnervingly. Every instinct was screaming at me to leave, but my empty gas tank held me hostage. I fumbled with the gas cap, my hands clumsy with cold and a growing sense of dread. I grabbed the old-fashioned pump handle and jammed it into my tank. The machine whirred to life with a series of strange mechanical clunks and groans, sounds that seemed far too loud in the suffocating quiet. That's when I heard it. A woman's voice slicing through the night from the direction of the woods. "Help me. Is anyone there?" It was a scream, raw and desperate. My blood ran cold. Every muscle in my body froze. My heart hammered against my ribs like a trapped bird. The logical part of my brain said it was a trap, a lure. The human part wanted to answer, to help, but the fear was overwhelming. I ripped the nozzle from my tank, not even bothering to put the cap back on. I scrambled back into my car, my hands shaking so badly I could barely get the key in the ignition. I slammed the door shut and hit the locks. My eyes darted to the rearview mirror, and that's when I saw them. Vague, dark shapes moving among the trees at the edge of the forest. They weren't animals. They were humanoid, shifting and weaving through the shadows, and they were getting closer. Panic seized me. I slammed my foot on the accelerator, tires spinning in the loose gravel, before finding purchase. The car lurched forward, and I sped away from that God-forsaken place, my heart pounding in my throat. I hadn't gone more than a quarter of a mile down the pitch-black road when I felt a sickening, heavy thud. My front tire rolled over something large and soft. It wasn't a pothole. It was a solid, yielding impact that jolted the entire car. I instinctively slowed down, my horrified gaze fixed on the rearview mirror. In the faint glow of my taillights, I saw it. A long black bundle lying in the middle of the road where I had just been. It looked like a discarded duffel bag or a roll of carpet, ... But the shape was unsettlingly familiar. My mind refused to process what it might be. Before I could even formulate a thought, a blinding light filled my mirror. Bright, piercing headlights. It was the white sedan. It had appeared out of nowhere and was now accelerating rapidly, closing the distance between us at an alarming speed. There was no doubt in my mind it was the same car from the gas station, and it was coming for me. There was no time to think, only to react. I stomped on the gas pedal, pushing my old car to its limit. The engine screamed in protest as the speedometer needle climbed. The dark road flew by in a blur of trees and shadows. I glanced in the mirror again. The white car was still there, its headlights like two predatory eyes fixed on me, relentlessly matching my speed. It was a terrifying chase through the dead of night, a race against an unknown pursuer on a road to nowhere. For what felt like an eternity, the sedan stayed glued to my bumper. My knuckles were white on the steering wheel, my body drenched in a cold sweat. I was sure this was it. I was going to be run off the road, or worse. Then, as abruptly as it had appeared, the white car swerved. It turned sharply onto an unseen side road and vanished back into the suffocating darkness of the forest. Its headlights disappeared, plunging me back into near total blackness. I didn't slow down. I kept my foot pressed to the floor, not daring to believe I was safe. I drove like a madman until I saw the welcoming glow of streetlights in the distance. The sight of a town of civilization brought a sob of relief from my chest. I didn't stop until I saw the blue and red sign of a police station. I pulled in, my car sputtering as it finally ran out of gas, and stumbled inside, babbling my story to the officer at the front desk. He listened patiently, his expression calm and unreadable. He took down my statement, nodding occasionally. When I finally finished my frantic, disjointed account of the gas station, the scream, the chase, and the thing in the road, he leaned back in his chair and sighed. He looked at me with a tired, almost pitying gaze. "Son," he said, his voice low and steady. "You're the third traveler to come in here this month with that exact same story. I stared at him, confused. So, you found them? You found the gas station? He shook his head slowly. We've searched the entire area every single time, scoured every inch of that back road you were on. There's nothing out there. No gas station, old or new. No abandoned white car, and no bundle on the road. I left the station that night with a borrowed can of gas and a chill that had nothing to do with the December air. To this day, I can't shake the memory of that night. Was the woman's desperate cry just a recording, a sinister bait? Was the empty, waiting car a part of the trap? And the most haunting question of all, what was that soft, heavy thing I ran over in the dark? I'll probably never have the answers. Some things you're just not meant to know, and some roads you're just not meant to take. Thanks for listening. If you have a story that keeps you up at night, share it in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more tales from the dark.